Breaking news from Italy is raising serious global concern as scientists monitoring the Campi Flegrei supervolcano confirm a critical shift in what is happening beneath the ground. For years, many studies suggested rainwater and hydrothermal pressure were responsible for the land uplift and increasing earthquakes near Naples. But now, new scientific statements reveal something far more alarming. Magma is officially confirmed as the driving force behind the unrest, not surface water. This changes the entire risk perspective, because magma means continuous pressure building deep underground. Recent seismic activity, rising gas emissions, and ground deformation show that the volcanic system is active and evolving. While an eruption is not imminent yet, authorities are preparing for a possible higher alert level as pressure continues to build beneath one of Europe's most dangerous volcanic zones. Stay informed and stay safe. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss critical Campi Flegrei and global disaster updates. Campi Flegrei is not a typical volcano, but a massive volcanic caldera located near Naples in southern Italy, considered one of the most dangerous volcanic systems in Europe. Unlike a single volcanic cone, this supervolcano spreads across a wide area filled with craters, underground magma chambers, and hydrothermal systems that constantly interact beneath the surface. More than 6 million people live in the greater Naples region, many of them directly above or near this active volcanic field. Since 2005, scientists have observed continuous ground uplift, frequent earthquakes, and increasing gas emissions, all indicating that the volcanic system is under stress. The area known as Pozzuoli has experienced repeated shaking and rising land levels, making residents increasingly concerned about what is happening underground and how quickly the situation could evolve in the coming years. Stay with us as we break down what scientists have just discovered beneath Campi Flegrei. For several years, many scientific discussions suggested that the unrest at Campi Flegrei was mainly driven by rainwater and hydrothermal pressure rather than magma. Researchers believed that surface water was seeping deep into the ground, heating up and creating pressure within the hydrothermal system, which then caused the land to rise and earthquakes to occur. Some studies even proposed that draining water from the area around Pozzuoli could reduce pressure and stabilize the volcanic system. This explanation gave a sense of reassurance because it suggested the crisis was not directly linked to magma movement. If water was the main driver, the situation could potentially be managed or slowed down. However, this theory also created debate within the scientific community, as many volcanologists questioned whether rainwater alone could explain years of continuous ground uplift and increasing seismic activity beneath such a massive volcanic system. New statements from scientists at INGV have now changed the scientific narrative surrounding Campi Flegrei. In a recent local interview, leading researchers confirmed that the unrest observed since 2005 is being driven by magma accumulation beneath the caldera, not by rainwater or surface hydrothermal processes. This conclusion is based on updated monitoring data, including ground deformation, seismic activity, and increasing volcanic gas emissions recorded in real time. Scientists emphasize that the system is not a guessing game. It is supported by continuous measurements from advanced monitoring stations around the Naples region. The confirmation that magma is the main engine behind the volcanic crisis represents a major turning point because it means the energy source is deep, persistent, and capable of building pressure over time, requiring closer monitoring and stronger preparedness from authorities and local communities. Recent seismic data from Campi Flegrei shows a clear increase in underground activity, reinforcing scientists' concerns about the evolving volcanic system. In just 24 hours, around 30 earthquakes with magnitudes above 2 were recorded, indicating continuous stress beneath the caldera. Over the past 2 years, multiple magnitude 4 events, including 2 reaching 4.6, have already shaken the region, yet the volcanic system continues to build pressure. These earthquakes are not random. They are directly linked to the movement of magma and the cracking of rocks deep underground. At the same time, ground uplift and gas emissions continue to rise, showing that the system remains active and unstable. Scientists monitoring the area emphasize that this level of seismicity is a strong signal that Campi Flegrei is undergoing significant internal changes, requiring constant observation and rapid response planning to prevent sudden escalation of risk. Scientists monitoring Campi Flegrei explain that the magma responsible for the unrest is located deep beneath the surface, forming a complex underground system that continuously feeds pressure into the caldera. Current monitoring data indicates a main magma accumulation zone at a depth of about 6 to 8 kilometers, with another deeper reservoir between 12 and 16 kilometers below the surface. These magma layers act like a long-term energy source, slowly releasing gases and heat that move upward through cracks in the rocks. As gases rise, they become trapped within the hydrothermal system, increasing underground pressure and contributing to earthquakes and ground uplift. Researchers also note that smaller magma veins may exist at shallower depths, but these are less likely to trigger a major eruption. The deeper magma reservoirs remain the primary concern because they can sustain pressure buildup over long periods of time. One of the most visible signs of unrest at Campi Flegrei is the continuous release of volcanic gases and the steady uplift of the ground, especially around the Pozzuoli area. Scientists have observed that gases rising from deep magma reservoirs move upward and become trapped in the hydrothermal system, creating pressure that slowly pushes the surface higher. This process leads to ground deformation cracks in buildings and frequent small earthquakes that residents can feel almost daily. In some areas, volcanic gases have even entered basements, schools, and homes, causing dizziness and health concerns for local communities. Authorities have increased monitoring to track gas emissions and ensure public safety. Researchers emphasize that these surface effects are not the cause of the crisis, but clear evidence that magma-driven pressure is building underground and affecting the environment above the caldera. Authorities and scientists are now expanding the monitoring network at Campi Flegrei to better track every change in the volcanic system. New sensors and additional monitoring stations are being installed to measure ground deformation, gas emissions, seismic activity, and underground pressure in real time. The goal is to detect even the smallest variations that could signal a shift toward a more dangerous phase. Experts from INGV are working around the clock through the Vesuvius Observatory, ensuring continuous 24/7 surveillance of the caldera. Campi Flegrei is already considered one of the most closely monitored volcanoes in the world, but the recent confirmation of magma-driven activity has pushed authorities to strengthen preparedness even further. This increased monitoring reflects growing concern that the system could evolve quickly, requiring faster warnings and emergency response planning to protect the millions of people living in the Naples region. Authorities in Italy are now seriously discussing the possibility of raising the alert level at Campi Flegrei as pressure continues to build beneath the caldera. The current alert remains at a strengthened yellow level, often described as a medium imbalance scenario, which already indicates significant volcanic unrest. Scientists and officials are carefully evaluating whether conditions justify moving to an orange alert, a step that would signal a higher level of danger and trigger stronger preparedness measures. An orange alert could include partial evacuations, stricter safety protocols, and increased emergency planning across the Naples region. Officials are moving cautiously because such a decision would affect tourism, local businesses, and public confidence, but scientific data is becoming harder to ignore. The growing pressure underground and continuous seismic activity suggests that authorities must be ready to act quickly if conditions worsen in the near future. Scientists monitoring Campi Flegrei are careful to emphasize that an eruption is not considered imminent at this stage, despite the growing concern about magma activity beneath the caldera. Current monitoring data shows no direct evidence that magma is rising rapidly toward the surface, or preparing to break through the upper layers of rock. This means that for now, there are no clear signals of an immediate volcanic eruption. However, experts warn that volcanic systems like Campi Flegrei can evolve quickly if underground pressure continues to build. Even small changes in gas release seismic activity or ground deformation could shift the situation in a short period of time. Authorities and researchers stress that the absence of immediate eruption signs does not mean the danger is gone, but rather that constant monitoring and preparedness remain essential to respond quickly if the system becomes more unstable. One of the most serious concerns raised by scientists is the growing risk of phreatic eruptions at Campi Flegrei, which are steam-driven explosions that can occur without magma reaching the surface. Experts warn that these eruptions are extremely dangerous because they often happen suddenly with little or no warning signs, such as strong earthquakes or visible magma movement. The process occurs when underground water is rapidly heated by rising volcanic gases and hot rocks, creating intense pressure that can explode through the surface in seconds. These explosions can eject rocks, ash, and superheated steam at high speed, making them impossible to outrun in densely populated areas like Pozzuoli and the Greater Naples region. Scientists emphasize that phreatic eruptions represent a realistic and immediate threat, requiring constant vigilance and rapid communication between monitoring authorities and local communities to reduce potential casualties and damage. If a sudden phreatic explosion occurs at Campi Flegrei, the consequences could be severe for nearby communities, especially in densely populated areas like Pozzuoli and the Greater Naples region. Scientists warn that steam-driven explosions can eject rocks, ash, and superheated gases within seconds, leaving little time for evacuation or immediate response. Buildings close to the eruption point could be damaged by flying debris, while toxic gases and ash clouds may spread rapidly through residential zones, creating panic and health risks. Roads and infrastructure could become blocked, making emergency operations more difficult. Even a moderate explosion in such a crowded volcanic area could disrupt daily life and force temporary evacuations. Experts stress that the real danger lies in the unpredictability of these events, which is why preparedness plans, emergency communication systems, and public awareness are essential to reduce the potential impact on millions of residents living around the caldera. Scientists are also investigating the offshore area of Campi Flegrei, where underground magma activity may extend beneath the coastal waters near Naples. Recent discussions among researchers highlight that part of the magma system could be located under the sea, which adds another layer of concern to the volcanic crisis. Monitoring efforts over the past few years have focused on understanding how magma accumulation and hydrothermal pressure behave in this offshore zone. If significant pressure builds beneath the seabed, it could trigger underwater disturbances, gas releases, or localized explosions that might generate small tsunami waves along the coast. While this scenario is not considered the most likely outcome at the moment, experts believe it cannot be completely ruled out. Continuous research and monitoring of the offshore magma system are therefore essential to better understand potential risks and improve early warning systems for coastal communities around Naples. The latest scientific confirmation about Campi Flegrei sends a clear message that the volcanic system beneath Naples is active and must be taken seriously. Magma has now been identified as the main driver behind the ongoing unrest, meaning pressure is building deep underground, and the situation requires constant monitoring and careful preparedness. While an immediate eruption is not expected, the growing seismic activity, gas emissions, and risk of sudden phreatic explosions show that conditions can change quickly. Authorities and scientists continue to strengthen monitoring systems and emergency planning to protect the millions of people living in this densely populated region. Campi Flegrei remains one of the most closely watched volcanic systems in the world, and staying informed is essential as new data emerges. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and follow daily weather and disaster updates to stay informed and prepared for global natural hazard developments.